What is going on, everyone? Glad you could make it. This stream is going to get taken down. And the reason why is because I'm going to play a video that I tried to edit multiple times and try to get it to pass, but it's not. It's completely blocked. And no matter what I try to do, no matter how many edits I do, I've taken it from over an hour video down to less than 10 minutes, and I still can't get it for everybody. So without further ado, before we start the video, I'm going to tell you what the subject is going to be about and why. I just did a member stream with this one, but I have a little bit more time, so I figured let's just go with it and premiere it for everybody to see. So the topic is going to be on sloths, more specifically the giant sloth. So what I've done to determine what animals were most likely on the ark is I take the concept that over time, there's recombination, mutation rates accumulating, gene conversion, and more specifically, there's chromosome fusions. So if there's chromosome fusions, we can track that back in time to a common ancestor of the species of the same family that was most likely on the ark. Of course, if the species went extinct, that would no longer be there. So assuming then that if the species is still alive, we can luckily track these animals back in time. And when we do this, we can get migratory patterns. So this brings us to the giant sloth. And I noticed when you type in on the giant sloth and you start looking around, we find that sloth really live in only a particular location. The giant sloth are down here in South America. And that would normally pose a problem for creation because what somebody pointed out here. You have to get a giant sloth that walks extremely slow to go all the way from Mount Ararat over the Bering Strait, down into the Americas, and down into South America in a very short amount of time. So how would that be possible in a young Earth creation time frame? Of course, the critic themselves would have to also account for where the sloth came from because there's no predecessors to these evolutionary creatures. But we have a migratory problem. So they, I would say, have a much bigger problem than we do. But nonetheless, it would be considered a problem. So while looking things up, I came across multiple answers to this. So the critic now, as you would say, came along and they saw that there's a lot of different species of these sloth, and the giant ones are the ones that we would have a problem with. Obviously, small ones can raft into their location because they can just land on, take the currents across. But how about a giant sloth? A giant sloth isn't probably going to be rafting unless it was young, right? So how can we answer this question? Well, I made a video specifically on that because I think this answers it the best out of every other answer that I've seen. And this video will be played now. I will not be able to pause it or interject, so enjoy.
This week, join me as I travel to the southern tip of South America to investigate the legends of Bigfoot in a magical land called Patagonia.
The word Patagonia itself means big feet. Who knew?
This is home to a Bigfoot so big, it's like the supersized version of North America's Sasquatch.
From the earliest seafaring explorers of the 16th century to the British merchant marines of the 18th century, Europeans who visited Patagonia returned with mysterious stories of having seen giants.
Patagonia is a massive region that includes both Argentina and Chile. For hundreds of years, some of the greatest maritime explorers in the world, historical luminaries like Ferdinand Magellan and Sir Francis Drake, reported seeing giants that were nearly twice the height of even the tallest explorers. But could these stories really be true? Now I'm crossing the border once again to go to the outskirts of Buenos Aires to meet some gauchos and learn more about the legendary giants of Patagonia.
Ha!
Adolfo says he's heard the tales.
They used to tell a story about hairy creatures, beasts that they were very afraid of.
Big animals.
Yeah, scary big animals.
So terrifying were these giants that early natives incorporated them into their folktales and legends.
Yeah.
How big?
It was about 3 meters. 3 meters tall.
Oh, very big.
Yeah, very big. They said that they couldn't get their arrows to penetrate their skins. And even some explorers in Patagonia said that the bullets didn't make any effect on the animal.
The stories tell of a gigantic, hairy creature that roamed the forest, letting out a blood-curdling scream. On top of that, these giants were said to have a tail. Could these legends be true? Could a Bigfoot with a tail actually exist here? To determine the truth behind these stories, I traveled to the coastal town of Bahia Blanca to meet a renowned paleontologist. This is incredible. A series of giant footprints, so big that they seem unreal.
Can I put my foot in there?
Yes, if you can, but be
I'll be
careful, very careful.
That's huge.
Huge.
It's amazing. This is so exciting. Because as I said, I'm on the trail of giants, and this is the first evidence I've seen of giant footprints actually on the landscape.
Perhaps Patagonia got its name because the explorers stumbled on footprints like these. The shape of these prints told them what kind of creature created them.
This is what made this? That's a giant sloth.
A giant sloth, the ground sloth.
And it's covered in fur.
Yeah, that's right.
And this sloth can walk on 2 legs?
Walk it upright, yes, that's right.
A giant creature walking
But is that
on
normal for
2
an animal
feet.
that size?
That's what the gauchos told me.
Yes,
And now, to get a real sense of the size of this animal, I'm heading to La Plata Museum near Buenos Aires, where I've heard a complete skeleton of a megatherium is on display.
Susanna. Hi, yeah, Josh.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, pleasure.
How are you? Yeah.
The picturesque La Plata Museum has one of the world's oldest and most important collections of paleontological and natural history specimens.
Megatherium.
This is the giant. And this is what made the footprints I saw.
Yes, of course.
Look at that. And I see that you've got it standing on 2 feet as it was walking.
Yeah.
Is that how it normally moved?
Yeah, that's right.
Susanna says the early natives did have contact with a cousin of this animal, the Mylodon. And the Mylodon, it seems, could certainly have been the natives' legendary Bigfoot. Hairy creatures that thundered through the forest at night, letting out blood-curdling screams. And the skin of a Mylodon is right here in this museum. This piece of skin was found over a century ago in 1895. It created quite a sensation because no one had seen anything like it before.
This is interesting because I've heard from the gauchos how hard their skin was.
Yeah.
They spoke of firing their arrows at these enormous wild beasts. But instead of harming the animals, their arrows would bounce off and fall to the ground. This unusual skin seems consistent with the native tales about the Mylodon's thick hide.
What are these things?
Those things are small pieces of bone.
They're part
Yeah.
of the skin.
Yeah, they're part of the skin.
That's pretty hard.
Yeah.
So they have like armor-plated skin.
It's an armor plate.
Wow.
Looking at this bony skin, those tales seem more believable.
Mylodon certainly meet the criteria I'm looking for. They could stand on 2 feet, they were covered in fur, and over 7 feet tall, they were definitely giants.
I'm returning to Chilean Patagonia, to the town of Puerto Natales, to meet Charlie Jacoby. He may know more about the South American giant sloth than almost anyone else. He's brought me to a cave outside town where an exciting discovery was made in 1895.
There was a sea captain called Herman Eberhardt who bought all this land here in the 1890s. He rode up here one day and he found this skin in the back of the cave.
This sculpture basically represents what was discovered in this cave.
Yes, that's right.
So this is despite the fact that scientists are saying this animal went extinct long ago.
Well, scientists are constantly revising what they say.
Pleasure.
This life-size replica of a Mylodon is about 9 feet tall.
Yeah, I'd say a kind of 9-foot hamster, really.
So not necessarily hunting people down.
No, definitely not.
Scientists originally thought Mylodons became extinct before humans came around.
Sure.
This was where they first discovered that Mylodons and man lived together in the same place.
Not in the same cave.
Yeah, in the same cave. Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah,
How does that work?
See that wall there? That was built right up to the top, and behind that, they reckoned that people kept Mylodons.
Well, what kind of evidence do you have to support this idea that one survived?
Well, the same evidence that great-grandfather here in the first place. It's stories. If you're just going to sit in some crusty museum going, no, there aren't any, that's no good at all.
Right.
You've got to get out there and have a look.
Charlie says if we can prove that arrows do bounce off a mylodon skin, it could help prove that the native stories were not hoaxes.
We could actually go and try that if you like.
Yeah, be all for that.
Let's go and do that.
To do that, we have to travel through the town of Puerto Natales.
Yeah, this is Mylodon Central.
Oh, check this out.
Oh, fantastic.
But another reason for this fascination is that from time to time, stories of Mylodon sightings crop up throughout South America. The Bigfoot stories just never seem to stop. Did the native legends have any truth to them? Can Charlie prove their stories are based on fact? In my pursuit of giants, I've seen huge fossilized footprints, examined the pelt of an ancient sloth called the Mylodon, and explored a cave where they once dwelled. Could the native stories of Bigfoot be based on fact? To find out, I'm about to try an experiment with giant sloth enthusiast Charlie Jacoby.
Charlie, my man, what have you cooked up?
Well, this is the Mylodon arrow to skin simulation.
Okay.
But this skin, it's 3 pieces of goat skin glued together with a layer of dermal ossicles of bones inside. A Mylodon skin weighed about 4 pounds a square foot.
Yeah, I saw they were thick.
Yeah, thick.
Bounced right off.
It works!
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Did it again,
Yeah.
fantastic. No holes.
Not a scratch.
That's what we wanted.
Wow.
I've traveled to the farthest reaches of our planet to investigate the connection between Patagonia and centuries of giant sightings. Shot an arrow at a simulated sloth pelt.
It works!
I've looked at tracks that prove that the native Bigfoot legends were based on some hard evidence. In the last few years, so many species of wildlife have been rediscovered. The chances that the vast, unpopulated expanses of Patagonia might still hide a giant with big feet shouldn't be discounted. Were they kept as pets? Were they kept for food? Scientists can't say for sure.
And so some discovery would create a new timeline of when these animals went extinct.
It's always possible.
And following the footprints, I've been to a cave where humans actually lived side by side with a bipedal giant. Could these giants, the Mylodons, still be alive today?
So there we have it, right, everyone? We have evidence that people not only saw these things, but they shot them with arrows that bounced off of them. They have history and lore. We have evidence that people ate them and lived with them in the same area. So think about that, right? Sailors travel with giant tortoises for food as a resource. Why would we not travel with an animal that would grow to thousands of pounds, move extremely slow, and be no threat at all that would contain that much meat? I mean, it makes sense that somebody would choose this animal to migrate with and kill it and eat it. So remember, the question that we have is, how do we answer the migratory patterns of this? So before we had rafting, now we have humans could have easily traveled with these things, but that's not all. We actually found that these giant sloths swam in the ocean, and they swam eating food from the ocean. So amazing, right? Sloth swim a lot faster than they walk. So they could have literally swam to the area that they were in right now. They have no problem doing it. And the ancestors spent a lot of time in the ocean. Matter of fact, they actually found that aquatic species, one in particular, liked eating the giant sloth. So they spent so much time in the water that this one particular organism, this aquatic species, enjoyed eating giant sloth. Maybe we can even find it. There we go. And if an animal is going to choose it as a food source, as a resource, and this creature only lives in the water, then it makes sense that sloth spent enough time in the water for them to be a food source for this creature. It only makes sense. So now we have 3 answers to the migratory patterns of how giant sloth could be in South America and how they could have migrated there from Noah's Ark. But don't forget, everybody, I remind you that evolution has the bigger problem here. They have to explain where the sloth even came from, since there's no predecessors for these things. We have to explain a migratory pattern to how they got to where they are. Very simple for us now, very hard for them, like usual. So anyway, everybody, if you ever wanted to test and figure out what animal species was on the ark, remember, you might have to assume that probably something died, but I don't like using the mutation rate patterns specifically for this, because if there had been a species that went extinct that we have not tested yet, or that had lived in smaller populations, it's going to give us the wrong type of an answer. For example, like a cave bear. A cave bear moved up north, very similar to Neanderthal. They lived in the Arctic during an ice age. And I mean, they lived during an ice age in the northern parts of the world where it was ice and snow, and they were inbreeding and living in small populations. So they had, you know, more fixed mutations. So therefore they looked like they would be older than other living species alive at even the same time. So I like using chromosome fusion and chromosome numbers as a count, because you can track these backwards in time and most likely land on a species that was mostly right after the ark landed or on the ark itself. So if anybody wants to help me compile a list of all these animals, these are the ones that I've already done and tracked and determined were most likely on the ark. So if you want to ever do this with me as well, let me know. You can help me compile and make this list even bigger. And let me check the comment section real quick to make sure everything is good. Yes. Yeah, I do a lot of narrating in videos. Most of the videos are pretty much all of them on my channel are narrated by me. If you don't see my face, it's mostly me narrating. If you just see a video with us all sitting down, it's mostly Donnie from Standing for Truth, and I edit those videos. But he's usually sitting there on camera. What do we got here? Oh, not for me. So anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I'm afraid it's going to get removed, because when I took just that video and I uploaded it onto my channel just to show everybody, it wouldn't even be allowed. It just said blocked, ineligible. So because it was blocked, I couldn't even premiere it. Like, I didn't care about making money. I just wanted to show everybody, and I couldn't even do it. So most likely when I end this broadcast, once YouTube finds the algorithm that this video is not supposed to be played, it'll just get removed. So I did the best I could. I'm sorry, everyone. I wanted you guys to see it. So this is that's all I got for us right now. So hope you all enjoyed, and hope you like the content. If you're members, that's awesome. I'll try to make more membership streams. I'm really hard. Why is it blocked? I don't know. Some videos, they make it so that their content is exclusively theirs. We don't make ours like that. So people can like literally take our content and re-upload the entire video from beginning to end. And all we would get is an email that says somebody's using your content. Are you okay with this? And I just ignore it. I don't even respond. But some videos are, the people that monetize them, they don't want to share. So that video in particular did not want to be shared, obviously, by the creators. So they blocked it from being seen other than their own channel. And the video was just too long to share. You know, it's over an hour long, and I wanted people to see the highlights of it, like the most important parts. You can go watch it for yourselves and watch the entire thing, but literally you saw everything, you know, that took like an hour to explain slowly, condensed into one little thing. So we need a group chat. Yeah, good idea. I'll just do a member live stream sometime with like everybody. Just send a link so everyone can join and go for it. That'd be fun. How about a video correspondence with? Yeah, whoever. We've got the next book almost done. The special creation is updated, and the endogenous retrovirus handbook have now been completely updated. As of today, they got their last update. Mine is finished, so now I'm working on the next one. Other than that, yeah, I just really wanted everyone to see that video, and my time is about up anyway. So I will see you guys soon, and let me check the download so I can let Donnie know what's going on here. All right, looks like 11 minutes left, and then I can finally edit your stream for later today. That means everyone will get to see day 2 of the Genesis conference, and it will be up on Standing for Truth in a few hours if I can get it done in time. It'd take me 45 minutes to edit and then download and then re-upload on Standing for Truth. Yeah, maybe around 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, everyone. I will talk to you soon. Hopefully this video stays up for a little while. Others get to watch it. Leave your questions, comments, whatever you like below, and I will get to them more specifically soon. All right, everyone. Talk to you soon.